The wise men, the Magi, they looked at the stars in the heavens and they saw the handiwork of God, and something mysteriously inspired them to know that the entire universe was being changed by something that was happening in Judea. And on the basis of their knowledge, they went on a journey of faith, which they were all in with, as the gamblers would say. They brought their wealth with them. They took a dangerous path, and they followed a special star to be a part of an enormously unique event. Now, when we look out at that same universe, we can see as believers the handiwork of God. It's awesome in its beauty and its size. Now, for the last 100 years or so, people looking out at the universe have somehow downplayed its importance and our importance. Scientists would say, well, there's a billion galaxies out there, and there's a billion stars in each galaxy, and our star is very ordinary, and our planet is extremely insignificant in the plan of things. Poppycock. Our planet is unique and wondrous. It's awesome in its beauty and its power. And the human species, the humankind that we're a part of, we've not been dwarfed at all by the physical size of the universe. In fact, just the opposite. Our minds, our hearts, our imaginations have been able to see to the very end of the visible universe and even hear the echo of the Big Bang from which it all started. The human soul is not shrunk or intimidated by the sheer material size of the universe in which we live and dwell and find our salvation. And our faith brings us to a point where we say, somehow the Creator of all of that has not forgotten us and has become one of us, pitched his tent amongst us, taken on the human estate out of love for us. What an awesome reality to grapple with. It's true, our knowledge of the infinite God is very finite. And what we don't know about God is enormous. But what we do know is salvific, that God loves us, has been a part of us, and has taught us how to live a godly life. Now, there are many today that would say, well, religion's always the enemy of progress. It's the promoter of superstition. It's the enemy of freedom. Baloney. Religion gives us an insight into the workings of the human mind, heart, and soul, and our place in the universe. And the whole idea of a university education actually started within Christianity from the Dominicans and the Franciscans, who had decided to bring together experts from all fields to study reality, philosophy, medicine, history. There had always been schools before that in which maybe one or two teachers would gather disciples to teach people how to read and how to write and give them some basic facts of what was known from science or medicine. But the whole idea of a university, bringing together many, many experts in various fields, arose out of Christianity. And to this day, Christianity and Judaism especially, and other world religions, have founded and promoted universities that promote art, science, math, and, of course, religion and philosophy. In the 20th century, the very founder of the Big Bang Theory, who proved it mathematically, was a Catholic priest from Louvain University in Belgium, Father Lemaitre. Took a long time for him to convince Hubble and Einstein of his theory, but he did it. And then in 2008, the winner of the prestigious Templeton Award, the biggest scientific grant given, was a Catholic priest from Poland, who is using a $1.6 million grant that he won for his work in science to found a Copernicus type of institution in Poland to promote the dialogue between science and religion. The human soul is not dwarfed by the material universe in which we live. And then, of course, there's the world of the itsy-bitsy, the teeny-weeny, the people that look through the microscope at things that are invisible to our unaided eye and see the marvels there and see how complex and fantastic our life is as human beings. Yes, we're creatures of the earth. We're made up of the soil, the dirt beneath our feet. But we're living, breathing beings of enormous capacity and intricacy. There is a book called The Rare Earth, written by two scientists. And they catalog all the things that had to perfectly come together for higher forms of life to evolve on Earth. And they conclude at the end, although life in small forms, like at the area of bacteria or amoeba, may be quite common throughout the universe, for higher forms of life, like lizards and animals, to evolve, the odds against it are literally astronomical. So a planet like Earth is going to be very, very rare, and might even be, even with a billion galaxies and a billion stars, might even be unique. And so we should take our planet and we should respect it and give thanks to God for this great gift of life we've received on this earth. Not only to know something of the material universe and all of its grandeur and complexity, but to actually have insight into the reality of the human soul and spirit that goes beyond all things visible. What a marvelous faith we have. Now, of course, the atheist today would deny all of that. But in order to do that, they have to take an extreme position on what we can or can't know. In most philosophy departments around the world today, there's an agnostic approach to knowledge in general, not just to God. I was talking to one philosophy major at Youngstown State. I was a philosophy major at Youngstown State back in the days of yore. The dinosaurs had just died out. But a contemporary philosophy major, and a very bright young man, and he, like most philosophy majors, wasn't quite certain whether he existed or not. And there's a long process you go through when you study philosophy to get to that point. And so, if you're not certain of your own existence, forget about being certain about the existence of God. But in the classical philosophy, with Aristotle, all the way up to Immanuel Kant, philosophers were quite confident that there was an intelligent designer of the universe which we observe. But the atheists have to say everything happened just by chance. And as a matter of fact, having said that, they'll say things like, all right, 4 people sit down to play a hand of poker. The cards are dealt, and each one of them are dealt a royal flush. Well, every professional gambler and every amateur gambler would immediately know the deck was stacked. The odds against one person getting a royal flush are like 350,000 to 1. For 4 people to get it in the same hand, well, I was liberal arts. I can't figure that out. But the atheist would say, no, you can't prove that it was stacked just because the odds are astronomical against it happening. It could still happen. And they have to say that. Why? Because the odds of everything coming together perfectly so that the likes of us could come about far eclipse 4 people being dealt a royal flush in one hand. And they also go to extremes like one of the more famous atheistic defenders said, well, if you saw a statue waving its arm back and forth hello to you, what could still be a natural cause, all the molecules could spontaneously line up in one direction and then spontaneously reverse their directions and then spontaneously re-reverse their directions to cause that waving. Well, yes, but on the whole, if I saw a statue waving at me, it would get my attention. And so we as believers, we love the sciences, we love art, we love music, because they all show the possibilities of the human mind, heart, and soul. And we all rejoice like the Magi, the truly wise men of the ancient world that came to be all in for God. And because of that, although atheists by and large follow very conventional morality, decent people, pay their taxes, obey the laws, once in a while contribute to one charity or another, very seldom, if ever, does an atheist go all in out of love for neighbor. They don't go to actually found leper colonies and live with the poor, the destitute. They don't give their lives over to helping those who are marginalized and are exploited. They don't give themselves heart, mind, and souls out of love for others. But out of the believing community, that is quite common. So right now there's hundreds of thousands of people doing just that with their lives, because they're all in for God and neighbor. And because of that, we could say the light of the world has not been dimmed. That light that the Magi saw is bright today. And the good news is all of us can reflect that light in our own lives, in our own situations.